All right, my friends, welcome to episode 51 of Prof and Dev Play Games. I am the Prof, Larry, and over there is Anthony.
The Dev.
Oh, I did that backwards this time. Oops. So we're here to talk to you about lots of games. There's quite a bit of interesting news, have some discussion about reviews, and we're going to end with off-topic banter about toys that we have, because we still have toys and we get toys.
Giant man children?
Yes, pretty much.
Pretty much my desk and my office pretty much show, yeah.
Yeah, I try to keep them off my office desk at school, but my desk here, I have a box with my toys, and I rotate them out. So we're going to start with our discussion, and our discussion this week is about reviews, and the question is, how much do reviews influence your purchasing decisions when you're looking at new games? And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because of ReCore. ReCore came out this week, and kind of before it came out, the reviews were not fantastic. They weren't terrible, but they were in the 6 to 7 range, and people were expecting a little more from
I read
pedigree.
Some of them. They seemed mixed.
Yeah.
Some harsher than others. And I think I read Kotaku's yesterday, and it was probably the clearest to me in understanding kind of where the divide comes down on it. Mm-hmm. Because they were very clear that the game's great, really good for the first number of hours, but then the second half of the game switches pretty harshly into a very different game.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, that makes more sense why. And a lot of the other reviews were not saying that. They weren't being clear about that part.
Right.
And the Kotaku review, I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense why this could be a bit lower and a bit more divisive.
Yeah, and a lot of the reviews that I read were saying things like, it overstays its welcome, and I don't really know what that means. But
it could be that second half.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you just said makes it clear, but that review didn't, overstays its welcome doesn't tell me enough. But
let's be honest, a lot of game review stuff is not that good whenever it comes to actually being good criticism and explained criticism.
Right. Well, and I feel like the whole business is about clicks, and no matter if it was like an amazing piece of criticism, it would probably get the same amount of clicks. So why put more time into it?
Exactly.
But I don't really know who I trust for reviews. I kind of just take the aggregate, really, and not the Metacritic score so much, but just kind of the overall opinions around the internet. But I'm not sure how much it influences my purchase decision. Because ReCore was a game that I wanted, and I had pre-ordered it. And when I saw the reviews, I wasn't super excited about how low the scores were, but I've played games that people didn't like before and liked it myself. So I'm glad I did. I'll talk about ReCore later, but I'm still in that beginning section of the game, but it is freaking rad. Really fun.
I mean, that's kind of how it goes. Like, there are definitely games that I just kind of pick out, and I'm like, I'm going to get this game. I want to play it. I don't care if the reviews come in bad. I want to try this game. Yeah. Reviews really influence me on games where I'm on the fence. Mm-hmm. Where I'm like, well, I might want this game. It looks interesting. I'm not sold, though. So if the game really hasn't sold me on, I want this, then, I'm going to look at reviews and see what the consensus is on it, or what criticisms are out there, and see if any of those things are kind of criticisms that would bother me as well. I don't have reviewers that I go to that I feel like, I really trust them, but I definitely have reviewers that I don't trust, or I know that their taste really doesn't match up with my taste.
Right. Is there a game in the last year that you felt like you're on the fence on, and a review but convinced you to not buy it?
Honestly, probably a lot of the stuff with the Arkham Knight stuff.
Okay.
Where I was kind of like, I enjoyed Arkham Asylum, and I haven't played one since, and I'm like, oh, this looks good and pretty, but I'm not super excited for it. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of games, so I want to pick and choose. And the reviews came in pretty mixed on it in some ways. So there's a lot of things that people like, but then they complained about certain sections of the game and things, and I was like, well, I have a hard time seeing if I got annoyed, I'd keep pushing myself through those to finish the game.
Right.
So that was where I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't get this right now. Maybe on a sale, maybe later.
Well, it's interesting because that's one. I mean, I hadn't played any of the original ones, Asylum or City at that point.
Yeah.
But I knew the pedigree, and I was really excited to try it out because I had a system I could play it on finally. And I bought it after the reviews, and all the reviews that were negative about the tank battles.
Yep.
And I didn't know enough about what that meant to really sway me one way or the other, so I ended up buying the game. I really liked it. The story was so good, and I think I liked it a lot because it's the first Batman game that I played, so I wasn't comparing it to the rest.
Yeah.
But the tank stuff was just bad. Like, it was too much, and all the reviews were totally right about that. So that makes sense.
Reviews, not in the past year, AC Unity. Because I was like, I love Black Flag. I really enjoy the AC games. Don't love all of them, but Black Flag was probably the last one I was like, I really like this game. And Unity, you're like, oh, the first one on next-gen consoles. Like, I mean, the demos where they're scaling Notre Dame and the whole thing. Just, it looks amazing.
Right.
And then the reviews come out, and I'm like, and I'll avoid this.
Yeah. To be fair, they've patched it up now. It looks good, but that took them a long time to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So that is where a review has influenced my decision on a game that I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this. Oh, wait, never mind. Let's cancel all those pre-orders. And
it's interesting now, and perhaps in the past, but when something like with Unity, for example, something like that thing happens, you end up not dropping $60 on the new game, and you just wait until it gets patched, like some people are doing with ReCore right now, and then you get it for pennies on the dollar.
It's true.
You can get Unity now for nothing.
I actually expect ReCore is probably going to drop. I mean, it's $40, right?
Yeah, it started at $40.
I was actually already shocked that it wasn't $60.
I'm surprised, too, because it's a $60 game in my view. But
I mean, less games have been $60.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of an interesting decision because to me flags it as Microsoft not being confident in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I could only see a sale happening within a few months.
Right.
It's just kind of an odd thing. Like, clearly they didn't. I don't know why they wouldn't. Barring reviews, when I see trailers for it and anything, it looks pretty. It looks neat. It looks interesting. So it's really weird to me that they just would somewhat budget title it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, is it... But as a consumer, the first thing I would think of was, well, what got cut? How long is this? Is something missing?
It's interesting because from my point of view, with this game in particular, if it was $60, I wouldn't have bought it. But because it was $40, I felt like it's a new IP. Like, Armature has done some good stuff in the past. Inafune used to do good stuff, but who knows recently. But it was, when they showed it at E3 last year, it was one of the games I was most excited about. Yeah. And when they said it was $40, that sold me. Like, okay, that's cheap enough for me to take a chance on it.
Exactly.
So I think that's maybe what they were going for. I mean, obviously, I think as well they weren't confident enough that it would sell at $60, even if they were confident that it was a good game. But yeah, the pricing of games this generation is interesting. It tells the consumer a lot about what you feel about the game. I mean, there are, like Rocket League, I would have paid much more for because I've played that game so much. But other AAA games that I've purchased, I regret paying full price for Quantum Break, for example.
Yeah. So, yeah, back to the topic. I mean, reviews do influence. I can't say they don't, but it's really kind of those games where you're either the reviews are so bad that you're like, I should really just avoid this, or games that you're just on the fence about. For at least me, where I don't have, like, I really want to play this. Any game that I really want to play, I'm most likely buying no matter what. Yeah.
There's for me the biggest example of being swayed by reviews is last summer I think it was the end of May, there were reviews for a game called The Witcher 3. And to be honest, at that point, I really hadn't heard of it. But all over Reddit, it was just like, I love reading like the review threads and seeing what people are saying about new games that are coming out. And it was just universal, like, this is like one of the best games I've ever played. So really great game, and it's, a fantasy world. So I had credit with Xbox, so I said, well, if everyone really loves this game, I've got to check it out.
Well,
and
sure, why not?
I did. I went in, why not? I spent $40 of my money, and I had that credit to cover the rest. And that was really just going in blind based upon reviews, which I haven't done before that, and I haven't done since. But man, did that work out for me.
Oh, yeah. And even I would recommend that game to you. Like, really, any kind of game, like, even if it wasn't Witcher 3, Witcher 2, I would have even recommended to you. Like, reviews or not, that game lines up with what you enjoy.
Yeah.
So, that's just where I'm like, yeah, you chose well there.
Yeah. So that's the way that I like to consume reviews. I don't know how you do. How you consume them, but I like the Reddit threads where they aggregate everything and you can then click off and read all the different reviews.
Yeah, I tend to like that a little bit better. And then I read if I'm going to read a bunch of reviews, read a number of different sites and, like I said, see what... Because some sites just review games, different genres differently and look for different things, so... It's good to have kind of a broad net of reviews and then figure out what you want to take from each one.
When you were at PopCap, were there reviews of your games, A, and B, if there were, did any of them chafe at you?
There were slightly some reviews. I believe the Metacritic for my games were around 80 for the Bookworm Adventure games.
Uh-huh.
They didn't really chafe at me all that much.
Nothing felt unfair or anything.
Difference of opinions, like
you're
like, yep, you think you want a game like this? We didn't want to make that game, so
right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say making games reviews. With any time you're dealing with putting something out there in the public to the consume, reviewers or not, you just have to have a thick skin of it. You're just like, sure, okay, roll with it. Sometimes there's a legitimate complaints in there, and you're like, all right, I see that. We should totally try to fix that if we can do a patch. Which
right.
Now, you could update things and patch. So, but I mean, most of the time, it's hard to say any kind of developer would go blind out to reviews. They're doing like internal. They probably already know what the complaints are going to be.
Yeah. Well, they have the internal mock review system at a lot of these publishers.
Yeah,
so.
EA totally did that.
Yeah,
they have a whole department in EA that does a ton of mock reviewing and testing, and will give you back that feedback. They'll do, and then there's places that who was it? Nguy Kroll. Do you know who he is?
No.
He's a reviewer. Is it Hit Point? Basically, I think it's Hit Point Inc. Maybe I could be wrong. No, that their whole thing is to do reviews for, like, mock reviews for.
Oh, okay.
For developers and publishers, right. They help during the development of the game, towards the end of it, and like tell you what to focus on to get you better reviews and like. Mm-hmm. And he was a guy who wrote he's wrote a bunch of gaming press for a long time. Newsweek, I believe he did Kotaku a long time ago, but he started a company with a couple other ex-reviewers, and that's just kind of what they do. They know that how people review games, and they try to help the developers focus their game for those reviews and what they should expect.
That's really interesting to me because I see, and I know you do as well, video games as art. So to have someone shaping your art to get a higher number on someone's scale, I mean, I know there's like a real reason to do that, and that's the sales of the game.
Well, no, it's not even that. There's totally big publishers, that matters.
The internal targets, or
your Metacritic score matters.
Yeah.
You have a target that you're shooting for. Great thing about mobile games, it doesn't matter. We didn't have that towards the end of PopCap, but yes, I know for a fact there are parts, the bigger AAAs,
And the consequence is...
There are consequences.
And the consequence would be like cut part of the team, or...
No faith in the team. They're not going to get as much money for the next project, things like that. Like, the company that does this, Hit Detection is the name.
That's a good name for a...
It is a great name for this
reviewing company, for what they do.
Yeah.
So you would expect like Concept and Armature to have less faith from Microsoft next time around because of the mediocre reviews, or like these reviews weren't bad enough for that to be impacted? Because I think the Metacritic's setting like 64 or something. I
think they'll be impacted.
Okay.
I think that will have an impact on going forward.
Yeah, that sucks because this game, I mean, so far is fun. For me, I guess one more big standout is the reviews for No Man's Sky. Once the reviews for No Man's Sky started coming, I had already canceled my pre-order like a couple weeks earlier. And then there was a couple threads from the reviews that told me very clearly I would not like this game. And then you repeated the thing to me, which was that you're going to feel very lonely playing this game. And I don't like to feel lonely playing games. Yep. So that saved me. Yeah. Anything else to add about reviews?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, if you, the listener, have opinions about reviews and how it influences you, go ahead and hit us up on Twitter. I am at Prof Plays Games, and that guy over there is at SummerSpeak. After the break, we will come back and chat at you about the news, and we might do a dramatic reading of one piece of the news. So stay right there. Sprung that on you.
Yes, you did.
We will be right back. All right, my friends, welcome back from the break. We are here to chat about some news, and the first piece of news, to me, is the biggest piece of news, just 'cause it's so weird. I didn't expect anything like this. BioWare is doing an Explorers Wanted contest. They say, you're an explorer. You've always wondered what it would be like to see the stars and discover new worlds. While we can't physically send you to space, we can send your voice to Andromeda. Starting September 12th, we're giving you the chance to voice a character in an upcoming Mass Effect video game. You need to download a script, upload your vocal take, and send the link to their email to be entered, which is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. I was unexpected to see something like this, but
yeah.
I think when was it? It did some. They used something last year. Was it at PAX? Yeah, it was at PAX, I'm pretty sure. Or one of the years they did a recording in a theater. They had people cheer.
That's awesome.
They needed a crowd sound for something, and it's totally in one of the DLCs.
Oh, that's so cool. So, are you gonna record a take?
No.
You don't want to be enshrined in Mass Effect Andromeda?
No, it's okay. Yeah, I don't see that I will be entering a... acting is not my thing at all.
Well,
I guess you'd have to Everyone's told me on voice acting is you really have to, like, overact it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't feel capable of that.
Well, the audience is about to find out.
Oh, God.
I'm going to ask you to open that first script. We have a script here.
Oh, it's already opened.
Oh, fantastic. Right. So, basically, for the listener, there are two different scripts. One's for something engineer, I forget which one it is, and then the other one's for Jordan Tate. They're both, it could be a man or a woman's voice. Just a page, and they give you direction on the side. Like, the first line for this Jordan Tate character is friendly, enthused, and then
I really
annoyed.
wonder if they do this for their real voice actors.
I was thinking that too.
The script actually looks like.
I was thinking about what Peter Dinklage's script for Destiny looked like. Did it have this kind of direction? I'm going to guess
I could
no.
actually send you... Well, I don't know, because different companies probably do it differently. Mm-hmm. But there's for BioShock Infinite, there's this really intense take of Courtney Draper and the guy who plays Booker. I should remember his name because he voices tons of stuff. But basically, it's them, and they recorded at the same time in separate booths, but same studio. But Ken Levine is there, and he's like giving direction. And like the thing is, what Courtney Draper is doing Elizabeth, she needs to be really worked up when she's doing it, like at the verge of tears and crying.
Oh, wow. And
like it is so freaking intense to like, because she's just like, okay, guys, insult me. Just throw it at me. Damn. As hard as you can. And you're just like, oh my God. And she's like, no, more. Like she's just internalizing all these insults and everything. And she's like, okay, good. And then she just does this thing. You're just like, oh God.
And Troy like, Baker, by the way.
Yeah, Troy Baker. Yeah, like you're just like, oh, holy shit. I guess that's how you get emotion into the script, but
just slap me again.
She's just like, yeah, I need more.
So I'm going to ask you to play the role of Jordan Tate. Do you want me to yell insults at you?
No, I don't think I need insults. Are you going to be Ryder then?
I'm going to be Ryder.
So how does this work? Is this like three
what?
When I was reading the script, because I looked at it before, and some of them I'm like, is it just lines by Jordan Tate, like all in a row? Or
yes, it's all in the row. Yeah. Because they just separate it because the direction for each one is different.
It's changed. All right.
Yep.
Again, I'm like overthinking this into the conversation wheel stuff, and I'm like, are these different responses?
Oh, right. So set the scene. This is Mass Effect Andromeda script. Scene 1. Jordan Tate is a smart and talented indie documentarian eager to give the real perspective on life in Andromeda. You, Anthony, are playing the role of Jordan Tate.
Okay.
And scene.
Writer, isn't it? Jordan Tate, freelance vidmaker. Superintendent Drakes asked me for an uplifting documentary about your efforts. Translation, paint rainbows over our problems. But people deserve the truth, not propaganda.
Perhaps a crisis is a time for hope, rather than hard truths.
If we pretend everything's fine, who does that truly serve? I want the dirt and blood, not the convenient fairy tale Drake's looking for.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Well, how do you think things are going? Official reports don't tell us very much.
I think people should go out and see Andromeda for themselves.
No trouble at all. Are those scars on your armor? Just from... sorry. Cut that. Let's start again. Take 2. No trouble at all? Are those scars on your armor just from popping the champagne? Never mind. If that's your take, that's what's going on. Bandwidth means I'm transmitting in short bursts, so that's all for now.
And scene. Amazing. I'm going to cut that out and send it. Just kidding. Good job.
You could if you wanted to. Although you're not supposed to send the person reading the other part.
Oh, I didn't read that. I was wondering about that. I didn't read that part. So you're supposed to read your stuff. Got it.
No accent, makeup, costumes, or props. I read the rules of the scripts.
Yeah, it's probably in that
gender
rules
neutral.
section.
Can I include no sound effects? Do I read all the lines? No. All you need to read are the lines of Jordan Tate.
There we go.
And or the tough mercenary.
Got it. Tough mercenary. Okay, we should do the other one then. All right. I'll do the tough mercenary and you do the worried mercenary.
Worried mercenary.
Yeah. Okay. Scene 2. 2 mercenaries talk about some of the difficulties of living on the frontier and being pioneers in a new world. I am playing the role of tough mercenary. And scene. I got a great deal on the gear we salvaged from the crash. Here's your share.
You said we'd split this evenly.
It's even. Do the math.
I've got a family. You don't. This isn't fair. We agreed.
To split the profits 50-50. How you feed your family is your own problem.
I just keep thinking, what if they hadn't left the capital? What if I hadn't left the capital? Maybe I wouldn't have to worry about where my kids' next meals are coming from.
We're doing better than some.
But I worry that one day I'll cross Sanders and find my kids murdered.
Sanders doesn't kill kids. And you don't know that wouldn't have happened in the capital.
There were laws back there. Out here, it's thugs running the place.
A thug wearing the uniform is still a thug. Sanders was head of security back in the capital, and look what she's become. Trust me, things like rule of law, like decency, out the window when things go bad.
So you wouldn't go back if you got the chance?
Hell no. It's not the best here, but I get to decide my life. It's not what we wanted, right? Whoops. It's what we wanted, right? A new start. Okay. And
scene.
Oh my god, that's so fun.
It is kind of fun. It's interesting that they're doing this and just putting up kind of the...
like some of the script from the game.
Glimpses into the story a little
Exactly. Bit. Right. I thought that was pretty cool, too. I mean, there's such small parts that it's hard to see much, but you get, a little taste.
Well, you get some interesting parts, because, like, the first one, freelance vid maker, so clearly, and at the end, they're transmitting in short bursts, so definitely Jordan Tate is back on Earth, and they're communicating, and Ryder's communicating from Andromeda, so people are interested in what is happening in Andromeda. Mm-hmm. And then the second one clearly shows that Andromeda is kind of the Wild West in some ways.
Yeah, exactly. So it gives, I'm buying this game day one for sure, no matter what.
That still makes me worry that this game's not coming out for a while.
No, I was going to ask you the same thing. So if we're still getting voice actors to record by December 31st of this year, I mean, these are bit parts, but... Bit
parts. I bet the main... If the game is coming out in March, like they said, then a large portion of primary dialogue has already been done. Like, there's tons of lines for Ryder, and male and female. They would have had to start that months ago.
Right.
If not a year ago.
Yeah.
It's not short.
This is easily my most anticipated game now.
Oh,
after playing so much Mass Effect. I mean, seriously,
it's
like...
so different, too. That's the great thing.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And if this works, that means they can actually... and sells well and continues, we'll finally just probably start getting a lot of side stories in Mass Effect.
That would be great. Because if you...
this universe, let's just start telling stories in it.
If you bundle all the Mass Effect games together into one game, it's... For me, rivals Witcher 3 is my favorite game.
I can see that.
It's that good. And it's crazy, too, because sci-fi is not my thing.
The characters are so good, though.
They're so good.
The writing is amazing, and the characters just... Of course, there's a lot of world story going on, and that's interesting, but the characters really drive the game. You care about your companions and what's happening to them and their arcs through 3 games.
Right, and it's so cool at the end of Mass Effect 2 where almost all of my people survived the suicide mission, so they're all coming back in 3.
Yep.
And that's really just rad. So, if you're out there and you are an aspiring voice actor, check out the blog at bioware.com and see the rules and read the scripts. Hope you enjoyed our dramatic reading. Thanks for being a good sport, Anthony.
No problem.
There are some people on the internet who are not being very good sports right now in reaction to this next piece of news. South Park, The Fractured Butthole is pushed to Q1 2017.
Yep, another game to the infamous first quarter.
Yeah, just dump it all in Q1. Just
honestly, you talk about Mass Effects, they have consistently done that.
Pushed to Q1?
Yeah.
That gives me hope.
They just kind of kept it after the first one, because, I don't know, I think 2 got pushed, actually. One came out around Thanksgiving of the year it came out, and then 2 got pushed into, it was February. And I think it was worth it overall. You got a higher quality game out of it.
Yeah, that game's I don't know when it came out. I don't care because I played it later. So the delay matters for me not at all. Yeah,
it's just more of a... But this year seems pretty harsh. There's a lot of games falling into Q1 now, and I'm like, it's getting crowded, guys.
Well, it's especially rough for Sony first party. Like the stuff that's been delayed from them. Horizon Zero Dawn, Last Guardian.
GT Sport.
Yeah, GT Sport. That was the other one.
Last Guardian's still coming out in December.
It is.
It's just not making the pre-Thanksgiving release.
Right. And I know that Final Fantasy 15 is not Sony exclusive, but I always associate Final Fantasy with Sony.
Yeah.
So, just rough. So they're big ones. I mean, I think they're like the before Black Friday big thing is PlayStation VR.
Yeah.
But they don't really have any other games besides their third-party stuff, which will be just fine for them. But, I mean, I still haven't finished The Stick of Truth, so I don't really care when this game comes out.
Yeah, it was just more of a like, oh, okay, another one to 2017.
Right, add to the list. All this excitement at E3 and then just nothing.
When is Zero Dawn Horizon?
February 28th, I think.
Oh, God.
Like, so there's going to be that.
I really hope Mass Effect is actually delayed. I really do.
Yeah.
Because if it's March, there's no way I'm doing Zero Dawn and then to Mass Effect.
Would you, if it does hold, would you just wait on Zero Dawn?
I'd probably still get Zero. That's the hard thing. I kind of want Zero Dawn.
Yeah, that game looks so rad.
I want to play it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But if it was like 2 weeks later, Mass Effect comes out, I know for the fact I would stop playing Zero Dawn and play Mass Effect and then hope I come back to Zero Dawn.
But at that point, how much does Sony or Guerrilla Games care? You already bought the game.
I know. Honestly, I probably should wait. If it holds, right. I probably should just wait on Zero Dawn. If it's...
Because you'll know by then.
Yeah, within a 2-week period. If it's like 3-4 weeks between, sure, I'll get Zero Dawn, play through that, and then get Andromeda. And then that will last me for a little bit.
Well, it's also an interesting decision to make because, we get our games from Prime now because we get that 20% off in the first 2 weeks, right? So you really have to make that decision within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
So, another game that's coming out that was rumored before but was announced for real. We are getting an Assassin's Creed game this year, and it is the Ezio Collection. Is it Ezio?
Yeah, Ezio. Yeah.
The Ezio Collection.
De Auditore.
Aha. Coming.
Ezio Auditore de Firenze.
Damn. So he's from Florence.
Yes, actually.
Right. One of my favorite cities in the world. Actually, my favorite city in the world.
Probably love Assassin's Creed 2 then.
Dude, I have it on the Xbox.
It starts in Florence, and it's just, if you love that city, you will love it.
Yep. Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I started playing it when it was back compat, and it looked great. I got distracted for some reason, but I don't know, it was like a month later. I don't remember exactly what it was. I started playing it, and then like a month later or so, I heard rumors that it was going to come to PS4, and I stopped playing it because I wanted to play it on the PS4. So as soon as this thing was announced, I pre-ordered the game. I cannot wait.
Yeah, so AC2 is Florence, and then a small town, I can't remember its name, and Venice are the big. Florence and Venice are the big, and a little bit of Rome.
And that's just from the original game?
That's AC2.
Okay.
And then Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is all Rome. Like, Rome is huge.
Yeah.
Like,
Was it a full game?
Man, it's only
or is it DLC?
No, it's a full game.
Oh,
and you're
okay.
like, oh, they're only doing one city? Oh, this is going to be a little bit... No, it's not smaller. It's arguably... Rome is huge. Like, they just took their time and built out one of the most important cities in the world. Historically, and especially at that time. And they did it. It was... And I personally really enjoy Rome, so that was... Brotherhood is my favorite of that trilogy.
Okay. So these are all full games. I thought the other two were DLC packages.
No, they're full games. They release one each year for 3 years.
Wow. Why? I want Syndicate then. I want the next one in the Syndicate. I don't know what city they would choose. But nothing probably would rival London, of course.
Is Syndicate only London?
No, you're in the outskirts at the beginning, and then you come into London. But it's mainly
the main city. Like,
it's almost all London.
All these games center around some city.
Yeah, it's London.
So London. Oh, yeah, and Assassin's Creed Revolution, which is the last Ezio, is Constantinople.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It ties into Assassin's Creed 1 as well.
Oh, okay.
Like, it brings back some of that, some of the Middle Eastern stuff as well. And
it's the Crusades in 1.
Ezio going to Constantinople and kind of tracing the routes of... the protagonist in the first Assassin's Creed.
Right.
It's all very interesting. Of all the stories, it's probably those 3 games make up like the best story that's ever been presented in the Assassin's Creed games.
Awesome.
So I'm super excited about that. I probably won't buy it right away because it's right when like Final Fantasy 15 is coming out.
Right, so, you have games you haven't played yet you want to buy.
But this is on my list of ones that I'm like, I've wish listed this. If family and stuff get it for me for Christmas, awesome.
Yeah.
If not, I'll get it probably on sale later. But it's definitely one I want to own. I would love to own an HD version of these. So,
well, it's a game that you've talked about favorably for so long that it was a no-brainer. Like, I'm getting this. I've been looking for it on Steam, and during like the Steam summer sale, I think it was, they really weren't discounted that much. So this came out. It's like, well, I'm gonna pull the trigger. It's gonna be $47 or whatever with Prime. So for 3 full Assassin's Creed games, I'll be full of Assassin's Creed
until. I put so many hours into those games. Brotherhood, I put 60, 70 hours into.
Damn.
It's I had a lot of fun with Brotherhood. That was the one that, for some reason, that one just grabbed me the most.
Mm-hmm.
2 was not bad. I played through 2. I just didn't get completionist.
Yeah.
Feeling with 2. Brotherhood, I got very completionist feeling, at least for a time being. So
that's how I felt about Syndicate. Like, I think I popped most of probably like 2/3 of the trophies, and then I passed it on to you. But when I get that back from you, I'm going to get the DLC. And I
really need to pop that in.
I hope you get into the mood at some point, because I want to see if you like it as much as I did. If I had played that game last year, it would have been in the top 5.
It's really intriguing to me, the brother sister thing. So
yeah. I find myself thinking about that game like every other week. It's really weird. It's just so good. Okay. Anyway, so that's coming out. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
For me, who hasn't played any of those, I feel like pretty lucky that I haven't, so I get a chance to try them out. The next 2 pieces of news, you know more about than I do, so I'm gonna have you take a lead on those.
So this is 2 things that came out of Blizzard, ex-Blizzard, one ex-Blizzard and the one Blizzard employee. First is Rob Pardo, who left Blizzard a few years ago. He was the lead designer on World of Warcraft and did design on StarCraft, Brood War, and Warcraft 3. And let's just go through like the number of hits this guy has had that he's been involved with.
Yeah.
He left Blizzard. He was the creative director of Blizzard before he left, and he stepped down and kind of just has been sitting around for a couple of years. But he announced a new studio called Bonfire Games, which has the greatest line, because his tagline is "Bonfire Games, come join us around the fire."
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm like, oh, well, so well done for a game company. But no game announced. Has a core, kind of a couple core people. And basically when he left, like a year and a half ago, when he started forming this, he got some personal investment, his money, and then I know 2 of the people that invested in that company, ex-PopCap founders. And then this article that came out from the New York Times said they just got $25 million in venture capital.
And so the people you know, that wouldn't count as venture capital?
No.
Okay.
Because it's not there's venture capital firms.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually just
people that don't know him.
Investors.
I see. Got it.
Put in a chunk of money to get him to this point to do that first round of venture capital. $25 million to form a team and make a game. Riot Games being a major one for that $25 million.
And that I don't understand. So you can probably explain this to me. I understand like individuals investing. So if Riot invests, does that mean that Riot's going to be like a publisher?
So Riot is owned by Tencent.
Yeah,
it's a Chinese company. Like they're wholly owned by Tencent now, or majority owned. So Tencent would be the publisher. They might
of Pardo's game.
They might. Riot probably says, "Hey, we want to publish. Our name will be on this. Tencent's name will be on this."
Got it. Okay.
And of course, they get a percentage of how it does, so they get a return on their investment if it does well. And really, with this guy's track record, you probably should good bet you're going to get a good game out of it, theoretically.
On the picture that accompanies the New York Times article kind of threw me for a loop, and maybe I just don't understand. But the guy was from Blizzard, and he's standing in front of Valve characters from Team Fortress 2. Is this just...
I think this is just his personal stuff at his house.
Oh, okay.
Because the thing on the left is, I'm pretty sure, is a D3 Barbarian.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Kratos for some reason. This is just his
house. This is just him.
That's cool.
He's clearly not hurting on money, I'll tell you that much.
No, he has a bat signal next to him.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that is. That's cool, though.
So it will be interesting to see what comes out. This will be a couple years, most likely.
Yeah.
But he's forming his team now.
His game... You think his game will be out in a couple of years?
I think it will be announced in a couple of years.
Oh, got it.
I expect 18 months to 2 years before it's announced what he's actually working on.
Right.
And then probably 3 or 4 before it's actually out.
Okay. Does his game come out first, or does Death Stranding come out first? What do you think?
I just saw the rumors on Death Stranding. They expect to have Death Stranding out before the Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah.
So I would expect Death Stranding.
Okay.
I think, if they can hold to it.
Bold prediction.
Oh, yes, so bold. Only because there's an actual game in mind.
Yeah.
Kojima has a game that he's making. So that dude has this vision, and he will run with it. So it's just a matter of getting that vision into a playable state and go. I don't know if they necessarily... I would see Pardo probably has an idea for the type of game he wants to make, but that might... I still think there are probably... won't know for sure until they actually finish hiring the core team, because people will influence the final game. But it's probably going to be multiplayer, just to let you know. I would assume.
Yeah.
With Riot backing it, it's not going to be a single player thing. It's going to be a multiplayer thing. What that is, I don't know.
It's probably going to be good.
Good
At
chance.
least fun. Yeah.
Yeah. A good pedigree with him. And then this next guy who retired from Blizzard this past week, Chris Metzen, who is he's the voice of Thrall in all the Warcraft games. Mm-hmm. But he is, I've seen him on stage a number of times. Once at BlizzCon, and then met him a couple times. He is a force of charisma.
Really?
Oh yeah. And he's just one of those guys where you're like, yep, there's a reason why you are you can be put on a stage and talk about the company. You're really good at it. And I think I remember he did art originally on the original.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures. Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's old sketches he did, and he's kind of the father of a lot of these franchises. Big story, lore nerd, and no matter what you feel about the Warcraft lore and the StarCraft lore, and if it's cheesy or not, well, it's all from him. And he's a master at making very campy fun. Warcraft is very campy fantasy, and I kind of love it because of it. So, and then Diablo, is not as campy. It's definitely different. But
it's definitely
he's a giant nerd.
It's not
nerd.
The Diablo story is not the deepest story in the world.
No,
I can see.
And he's not. And the thing is with him, I feel like whenever I look at him, is he's not the best at the actual overall story, but he builds incredible worlds.
Well, and according to this article, he also he created the Soldier 76 from Overwatch.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And he's involved. He's always been involved, but I've seen some people saying that, hinting at oh, Rob Pardo started a company. Maybe he'll be is this tied to that? And from everything I know and read, it's not true. He's really just had a kid. He's a 6-month-old kid, and he's like, I don't want to work right now.
Yeah.
It's I've been working hard for 17 years. Seriously, and I know Blizzard isn't a slack off kind of company.
Yeah,
working hard. He wants to enjoy the fruits of his labor now.
This first line says he's retiring from video games. Do you think that's something that would stick, or he'll?
I doubt it's going to stick completely.
Yeah, come back later.
Anyone that I feel like that's in this to like that really wants to make video games. It's like Stephen King when he retired from writing.
God, yeah, and
he's a writer. You don't retire from writing. Like, writing is part of his DNA.
Right.
He's going to do it no matter what. I guess he could say, I retire, I'm not going to... Potentially, my stuff's not going to be published. But I can't see him ever not writing.
Well, and Stephen King's whole thing was just he was retiring from the publishing schedule, which is hilarious because he's then kept to it anyways.
But I guess he doesn't have the pressure anymore. Like, he can just do it at the pace that
exactly.
If he wants to do it slower, he can.
Yep, exactly.
But again, he's not a person that wants to stop writing. And I don't feel like Metzen is going to stop creating worlds in his mind and writing down worlds that he wants to create and talk about. So maybe it won't be games. Maybe he'll write books. Maybe he'll do other things to get that out. But he's too creative of a person to retire.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Stephen King, because I think, in my personal opinion, like some of his Stephen King's best novels have been since he quote unquote retired. So I wonder, like, what if he did come back to do something, like what the impact of like not feeling the pressure, just doing it for the love of it how good that would make the product.
It's true. I could see that being a big boon. And honestly, it probably allows him to step back and relax for however much time he wants to, a year or two, to just learn what his life is again.
Right.
And who knows what his perspective on the worlds he wants to create is after this now. Like, that probably radically will change the type of things that he wants to create.
And it might breathe some new life into those Blizzard properties to have someone else kind of take the lead.
Yeah, he is the voice of Thrall. Like I said, he has said that he hopes to continue to be the voice of Thrall.
Oh, cool.
So
I'm sure that he probably will be then.
I can only imagine that they will use him.
Yeah.
When they record, like, come on, Chris, come down. We got some lines for you to record.
Right.
So I mean, it's kind of sad to see them going, but it's about time, and it's definitely a changing of the guard at Blizzard is happening.
Right.
So, but I think they've shown that with Overwatch doing really well, Hearthstone doing really well, looks like Legion, people seem to really enjoy the new
People
WoW.
really, judging by my mother, who can't stop playing.
Good. Okay. I've heard that it just has really revitalized people's interest in the game.
Yeah.
I think there's a pretty big future for Blizzard, honestly. So I think it's the right time. Like, so many new teams are running things now. So yeah, we're sad to see go. These are definitely, Metzen was a fun person to talk to and see speak on stage. So I'll be sad to not see his BlizzCon speeches anymore.
Yeah. Well, that was the news for this week. There were two more headlines that didn't quite make it in. I just want to read the headlines, and then we're just going to move on. These are both from Kotaku. One, Overwatch heel sluts turning playing support into an erotic experience. So please go find that story. It's really weird.
I'm intrigued now.
Oh my god, it's so weird. And then Poland makes an official Witcher postage stamp.
Oh, I meant to bring that up to you. I saw that today, and I was like,
"Oh my god, I want that."
How are you going to get that?
I have friends in Poland, so that's probably how I'm going to get it.
And how do you get? Can you get a sheet of those?
I'm going to ask.
Can you get me one?
I will, definitely. I will not just get them for myself. I
don't know what I'd do with them beyond.
I'd frame
them up
it
in my house. Yeah,
I'd frame a sheet. That's what I would do. So that's going to happen. That's going to be my next project. So we will come back in just a little bit and talk to you about the things that we're playing. So stay right there, and we will be right back. All right, my friends, welcome back from the break. We are here to talk about our favorite thing, which is games and playing them and us. So we're going to do all those things in one little bit. We're going to start with Anthony, who has a shorter list than I do.
I tend to always have the shorter list.
I just bounce. Not schizophrenic. What's the word? ADD.
Yeah, until you find something that really...
Something that lands, yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, I had 2. Continuing to play Diablo 2. Realizing the game is actually freaking hard sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm in Act 2. I'm just trying to level. And leveling is not the fastest, I will tell you that. Mm-hmm. I'm like 24 now, 25.
I remember that. It took forever compared to 3.
Leveling is a lot faster in 3.
Yeah.
Again, this is a total throwback. I like playing this game. I don't know if it needs to be faster. I'm still making progress, but man, it can be hard sometimes. I haven't died yet. I'm smart enough to not die, but I've gotten close a couple times. Things can just go really wrong in the game. You're just like, oh, I run into your room. Oh, God, there's a champion that's lightning enchanted. Oh, crap. Oh, okay, now I'm blocked by other guys. Okay, how do I get out of this without dying? Pop potions. Hopefully I live. It's fun, though. It's still really fun. There's something about that game that just... It hits right. Items that drop are really important. Even just normal magic items. You're just like, yep. I'm still at the point where I want to see what every one of those is. They might be upgrades.
Right. Have you picked up a Stone of Jordan yet?
I have not even close.
Yeah.
I've got 2 set pieces, Cleglaws, something or other, a shield and a glove that's been pretty nice. Nothing major. I'm just kind of grinding at the end of Act 2 before I fight Duriel, which I remember being an absolute pain in the ass fight.
Was that the one that's in the cave?
Yeah. The dude poisons you. It's like a big slug thing.
Yeah. Right.
I always remember that one being just an absolute horrible, painful fight.
That's why I feel like we're always stuck in Act 2 leveling up so that we can
fight
kind of
that
beat
thing.
over. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I've been playing that, still enjoying it. Played some of that today. Then earlier this week, on Thursday, I believe, that was the 15th, at 3 o'clock, I got BioShock Remastered. Just appeared in my Steam library. So I installed it. And then later that night, after my kids were in bed, I started playing it. And boy, is it pretty.
Did you notice a difference?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Straight up noticed it. There are definite new effects going on, like the plane crash right from the beginning. I'm just like, okay, the water looks better, the fire looks better, the textures of the lighthouse look better. I notice that the textures are sharper. I see a lot of... This is how I know I'm not an amazing FPS player, because I see the people bitching online that it like, oh my god, it still has the same mouse smoothing and all sorts of like things about how you move with mouse look and everything, and I'm like, I have no clue what these people are talking about.
And you make games.
Like, I don't even feel it. Like, like, I don't know, it feels fine to me.
Right.
I guess I'm not that type of an FPS player. Okay.
I feel like some people are trying to find things to bitch about.
I get it. Like, if these are like people that like FPS is the thing that they play all the time, and especially if they play competitive FPSs that are really fast, I'm sure they notice this, like how the screen moves based on your mouse movement.
Yeah. And
if it has smoothing on it or acceleration, deceleration stuff, and I'm like, I just don't notice it. I've never noticed it.
Yeah.
So
doesn't hamper your enjoyment of the game at all.
Nope. I even read stuff and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, people. Like, even when you explain it, I don't actually understand it. Okay. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't make FPSs, clearly. This is not a type of game that I should make.
That's what we're learning right now.
Yeah. I learned that long ago. I like to play them, but...
Yeah. How far did you get into BioShock? About an hour, you said?
No, a couple hours.
Oh, a couple hours. Okay.
I played a couple hours and then had to stop. I realized with the game, the game is really enthralling. just from the mood it sets, the tone. Like, it's really easy to get lost in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to stop basically about an hour and a half before I go to bed to calm down, because it's just super intense to me, and like it really works me up where it's like my brain's just going when I stop, and I have to take time to decompress before I can actually get tired and go to sleep. So It makes it hard when I'm going to bed earlier to put any significant amount of time in that game.
Right. Because you have to
that was a
buffer.
reminder. I was like, oh yeah. Except when I played this back in 2007, I didn't have kids. My wife was working, and I'm pretty sure I got this game on when it came out, and then just took a couple days off work.
Mm-hmm. And
just played it.
Mm-hmm.
My wife was at work. I stayed home and played games.
That sounds like a wonderful life.
It was a wonderful life. There's a point. Side note: there was a point for years at PopCap where basically the company closed between Christmas and New Year's. Semi-officially, like, I don't think some people stayed on call, but for the most part, you're like, yeah, don't come into the office. My wife did not get that in her job.
So you're playing while she's at work.
I had the week of Ant.
Nice.
And seriously, when I was playing WoW, it was incredible. God, I play so much WoW.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of time for WoW. You just reminded me that, sorry to interrupt you, my wife has like a 2-week break for Christmas, and I have a 7-week break. So yeah, there might be some game playing going on then.
You're like, okay, you're working during the day. What do I do? I guess I'll play games.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, so BioShock was a lot easier to get through in that time of my life than it is now from a sleep and being rested standpoint.
Right. Well, that game is what, a 20-hour game? The first one?
Yeah, 15 to 20 hours probably.
Yeah, okay.
It's really good. I'm playing through it and I'm like, this game is incredible. Still holds up in so many ways. Combat's a little clunky with having to switch between the plasmid and the weapon you're using.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting used to that again. I guess I'm spoiled with BioShock 2 and Infinite, where you can basically dual wield. So you like left mouse button is plasmid, right mouse button is gun, or the other way around.
Yeah.
So
that's what it would feel like going back to Mass Effect after playing the other two. It's just like the mechanics just have gotten so much better.
But BioShock isn't as rough. The first person stuff still works. It's so easy to get just entranced in the world of Rapture, though.
Yeah.
It made me realize I'm like, I want to run a role playing game in Rapture.
Is
like
there
pre-fall, do like just choose a system and run it. That would be a really fun world to like right as things are leading up to the fall of Rapture.
But there's no existing campaign or any.
No, I bet I could find one online that people have made, but
oh yeah,
it wouldn't be hard to just. There's enough lore out there, and the game puts enough lore in there. You're like, okay,
right.
I don't know. It probably never happened, but it's just one of those worlds where you play and you're like, yeah. This would be fun to role-play in.
Well, I'm looking forward to trying that game out eventually after I get through my entire huge backlog of all this stuff I'm playing right now.
I would at least finish Mass Effect 3 before hitting BioShock.
Yeah, I'm trying to finish that by the end of the month, so we'll see how that goes. So my games, I started playing. I was home sick on Monday. So I played a little bit of Mass Effect 3, but I just went to bed. But I think I put in about 3 hours this week in Mass Effect 3. I'm trying to remember where I left it off at, because I left off...
You're doing something with the Quarian and the Geth, right?
Oh, that's right. It was the Geth... Oh, yeah. So the choice was to, like, kill all the Geth, or, like... You know, I found Legion, and it was to like save the Geth or, you know, listen to the Quarians and get rid of them because they, you know, had part of the Reapers inside of them, and I decided to keep the Geth and trust Legion. and that was causing some fights with the Quarians, but I didn't really care. I ended up punching one of the Quarians in the gut because I was on the ship, and they were trying to like blow up the ship while we were on it when we were doing like a rescue mission. So I went the full renegade option there and just punched the guy in the stomach. But it was really cool because I had forgotten about Legion until he showed up, and I was like, oh my god, they're bringing back like everybody from 2. It's
So how far into are you done with that storyline part?
Not
are you still
quite.
in it?
I think I'm still in it.
Did you learn about Legion's past?
No, not yet.
Okay, that's a pretty awesome part of it. I'm pretty sure that's in 3.
Well, yeah.
It has to be in 3.
Yeah, because I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, exactly. That's probably next. That's where I left off at. And I didn't get back to it this week because ReCore came, and a couple other things. But ReCore came, so I started playing ReCore. I'd seen the reviews, but I'd already pre-ordered the game, and it showed up, release day on the 13th, which I think was...
Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah, I think it was Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah. So I played it that night. That game is rad. Like I think I'm 3 hours into it, so I'm still in the rad part. So I'll talk about things that I like about it. The mechanics are pretty intricate. Where your plasma rifle or whatever you have gets different colors. So you start with white, and then you end up getting red, and then yellow. And depending on the color of the enemy changes. So if you're facing a red enemy, you want to use your red gun, and then you're fighting like different colored enemies at the same time. So when you switch out to different enemies, you have to switch your gun color to do mass damage.
So that's directly from Metroid Prime.
Right, and that's what people from Armature had worked on.
Yeah. So, and a side note, this is a personal design thing. I hate that.
Really?
As a design thing, I absolutely despise. That was the part of Metroid Prime. I was so like, I get it. It's an easy thing to do from like a depth standpoint.
Right.
But as a personal pet peeve, it is one of the types of design that I'm like, I really don't like this. I don't like juggling the color that I need to be shooting.
Yeah.
Although Prime made it work, because I bet ReCore you can still damage things if you're the wrong color.
You can.
Prime you couldn't.
Yeah. So
you had to be in the right color, and it was so annoying at times.
Right, and that's one thing that I thought about when I was playing, that if I couldn't damage it with the other color, that would be a little annoying. But I'll tell you the reason why I like it is because I feel like the shooting would eventually just kind of get monotonous. So it keeps me thinking while I'm doing the kind of this monotonous thing of killing these smaller enemies or whatever. So on top of that mechanic, there's an extraction mechanic where you're trying to extract the core of the enemies. So something will pop up on the enemy that says extract core, and then you like push in the right stick and press down, and you start this tug of war mini game trying to get the core away from the guy. And sometimes you succeed, sometimes you don't. And there's also another mechanic where you can it's like instant extraction, which when you do that, it just blows the enemy up immediately. So there are like levels to the fights with the normal enemies that keep me engaged. It's not just a click, click, click kind of thing. So I like that. There are also dungeons. The goal is to go get cores, right? And the more cores you get, you open up new areas and new abilities and things like that. So the dungeons are fun because they're small, contained units where you're... for example, the one I played yesterday was this. It was called Cavern Rush, where it's basically a platforming challenge. You're trying to get through this cavern, jumping on these moving platforms while shooting switches and trying to beat a time. And the more of these secondary goals you reach, you get more stuff, more loot, basically. So you're running these dungeons over and over again to get better times, to get all the switches, to find the hidden stuff, to get more loot. So it's kind of this, it's a loot loop.
Yeah.
Which adds to the game because you have to go through to the end to get the core, but you can do those secondary things to get better things. And the things that you're unlocking are basically sets for your core bot that's with you. You start with a dog. So I've unlocked part of the set is the head, and then the forelegs, and then the torso, and the back legs, and then another piece I can't remember. And then you get a set bonus when you have them all together, kind of like a Diablo set or whatever. So to me, it's kind of like a mix of Metroid Prime and Diablo a little bit. Dungeon running and getting sets and stuff. I don't really see the Mega Man in it so much, other than the different
maybe
robots.
The platforming, potentially.
Yeah, maybe.
Especially the speedrunning platforming thing.
Right. Maybe that's true. So those are the things that I really like. Things that I don't like so much, I sit about 30 feet away from the TV, and stuff in this game is small. So I end up having to stand up and just be kind of close to the TV so I can read the text and kind of see stuff on the screen. I think in certain areas there's a lot going on. And then the world is kind of this like bleached out kind of deserty world for like the hub. And it's just really white. So I kind of lose everything in the sand, and it looks like everything just kind of color-wise blends together until you get the colored enemies. So that's visually, I get a little lost.
Yeah.
And then the level the design for some of the levels is just a little confusing. I don't really know. There's like little green blips on the screen to show you where to go, but it's not really obvious the way that things are laid out, that they fit into each other. Like, I don't really know where I'm going. And the map is a little hard to read, especially because the loading issues, you like turn on the map and zoom in on one spot, and then it just bugs out, and you can't see anything on the map, which is a little annoying. But the deal breaker for the game that I finally have run into, now that I've gotten a little further, is the loading times are ridiculous. It's a game where you are encouraged to kind of explore, and sometimes when you explore it, you die, and you wait 3 minutes. It loads for 3 minutes, and that's just such a long time when you're like into a game, and then you die, and then 30 seconds later you die again because you're trying to do something, or you're trying to make this platforming jump, and you can do it, and 3 minutes again, and 3 minutes again to play 30 seconds.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, I'm curious why they would ship with something like that.
Oh,
what
it's
they
rough.
are doing that would make it. I mean, clearly, something's taking time to load back into memory, so they're not caching something properly, or something they probably should be caching, so that it. Honestly, when you die in a game like that, really any game, you should be able to pop back at the last checkpoint or save point 10 seconds, 15 seconds tops would be ideal. Less, even more. Like, plenty of games you play when you die and just immediately you appear within under 5 seconds. Because it totally breaks flow.
Yeah, big time. Like, finally I've put basically an hour a night every night. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. So last night, Saturday night, I finally just stopped. Like, I can't do this. Like, I'm at a place now where I'm exploring, and I'm dying because that's teaching me what I can do and what I can't do. But the load time is so ridiculous. I have to stop until there's a patch. I can't do this.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So I've put it down for now. But it's the first part's rad. I don't know what's waiting in the second half of the game, but I'm not going to try it again until I get a patch for the load times. Other things I played this week are kind of trials of games. First one was NBA 2K17, the Prelude. You start your character in college, basically, and then you're ready to start the NBA season when you buy the full game. The reason I picked it up, first of all, I liked 2K16 a lot. I wanted to try the story mode, but at least for Xbox, I'm not sure for PlayStation, but for Xbox, this little Prelude demo, which is totally free, it has 1,000 gamer score for doing almost nothing. So I went through and just 100%ed the thing to get basically my virtual points for my avatar on Xbox. I had a lot of fun playing the game, but an hour and a half and I got 1,000 gamer score. That's just crazy. So if you get the equivalent of 1,000 gamer score in trophies on the PS4 version, I'm going to play through it again because I'm a trophy whore. It's really easy, so if you want to up your trophies, if that happens on PlayStation 2, I would recommend it. Okay. Also played Madden 17, EA Access. I heard Madden did a new thing where you can play through the franchise mode, which is like, play the whole season in the playoffs or whatever, with something called Play the Moment, where instead of playing the whole game, it just fast forwards to like the exciting part, and you play that sequence. So instead of playing like a 60-minute game, you just play a 20-minute game. So I wanted to see what that was like, and it's really rad. It makes it a really game you can pop in and out of pretty quickly and get through something that would take a lot longer. That whole franchise season in a lot shorter time.
I really wonder how that pitch went when they wanted to do that to the team, going, okay, guys, so we're not going to have you play the whole game anymore. You're going to play like a third of it.
Yeah.
I would love... you've been in enough meetings like that where such drastic changes are said. There's always the people in there that are like, no way, you can't do that. You're going to destroy everything.
Well, it's, you can still do the old stuff, obviously, but
still, like, even that, you're just like...
Well, I wondered if they had... When I was playing it, I thought, this is a lot like MLB The Show 16 or 15 or whatever, where you don't play the whole game. I mean, you can, but it usually just like, you're a right fielder, so it pops up when you're batting, or you play when you have some fielding thing, but it's not, you play a whole baseball game in like 20 minutes. It makes sense. Yeah. And it's fun. I really, really enjoy it. Like, I'm not gonna buy Madden 17 because I have 16, but I'll keep playing the trial till I don't have any trial anymore. Yeah. Which is, EA Access is awesome. And the last thing I played was the Forza Horizon 3 demo. I freaking loved Forza Horizon 2, just an arcadey racing game. Yeah. And 3 was so rad. Like, this demo was it was like they pulled out all the stops, like all this crazy stuff. Like, the main thing is that you're basically racing a car through. So you're in your car and you're racing an opponent through different pieces of Australia. Like, it's showing you like the jungle and the beach and, a forest and whatever else. So you start racing your opponent, but you find out that your opponent is actually attached to a winch and it's attached to a helicopter, and then the helicopter takes off and you have to race the helicopter, which is carrying the Jeep. And it was just like a really funny kind of premise.
It's one of the most ridiculous things ever.
It was super ridiculous, and like it's so self-referential as it's happening in the game. Like, it was just like 2 or 3 moments like that, and I was just like, this, I bought it as I pre-ordered the game as soon as I was done with the demo. Nice. It was really well done. And I was going to get that game anyways because it's one of the Xbox Play Anywhere or whatever, so I can play downstairs or I can play upstairs on my computer, and I really want to see what it's like on the computer. So that is what I've been playing, and that's a shit ton of games. It really is. Every night, man, when I get home from work, I want to just turn my brain off.
Sometimes it's weird. Making games, turning my brain off is usually watching a movie.
That makes sense.
It is not playing a game.
Yeah, because you're analyzing it or thinking about it.
My mind is so burnt by the end of the day on those critical decisions of making games that sometimes you're just like, yep, I just need to zone out to something else. Yeah. Movie, a show. I watched a lot of Star Wars Rebels.
Nice. I heard that's a comic one, or the cartoon, right?
Yeah, it's the newer cartoon. I finished the first 2 seasons of it. Yes, it's very good. It starts light, and you're like, oh, this is kind of a kiddie thing. It's not bad, but you're like, oh, it's kid. No. By the end of the second season, you're like, no, this is pretty dark. This is really dark, actually, and really awesome.
You're not showing your kid this?
I will show some of it, but I mean, definitely as it starts approaching the midway through the second season, it takes a turn where you're like, oh, this is dealing with some serious stuff. Okay. They should probably be a little older for this. Yeah. So. Cool. That's what I do to shut my brain off sometimes. I'm just like, okay, just binge some episodes of something.
Yeah. For me, it's an hour of games a night, and this week, once I was back in school, it was the short sports games or ReCore.
Yeah. Not shocking.
So good. So when we come back from the break, Anthony and I are going to talk about what it's like to be full grown children and collect toys. So stay right there, and we will be right back. All right, welcome back from the break. This is Anthony and I talking about our toy collections. I think Anthony might have a little bigger one than I. But
I have kids. I have excuses. I can get them toys, but they're mine. But they stay on my shelves.
Sure. Daddy, you bought this toy for me? Yeah, but it stays on my shelf. You can't touch it.
Yeah, see, don't touch it. Look at how nice it looks. I have not pulled that out yet, but I've thought about it.
It's always in your back pocket.
Yeah.
So what do you collect?
What don't I collect? So I look around. Let's look around my office. So on my desk sitting right now, here's the Jigglypuff amiibo.
Yeah.
That you sent me for my birthday. I got on Friday. Did I get Friday or Saturday?
Friday, I thought.
It would have got Friday. Just when I got home. I got home later, quite a bit later Friday. I was... my wife was gone this weekend, so I got home with the kids pretty late, and I had the package sitting on my desk and unboxed it, and it was a little Jigglypuff amiibo, which is awesome. For reference, I guess I played Jigglypuff back in Smash Brothers a lot back in the day, and so it has stuck with me for my life.
You had a keychain, Jigglypuff.
I did have a keychain. That thing actually just became a pink ball.
Yeah,
it was in my pocket with keys for so long that everything got worn down on it, and it didn't look like Jigglypuff anymore. It just looked like a pink piece of plastic, scuffed up piece of plastic in my pocket. I had to get rid of it at one point, finally, but still. So now I have a new Jigglypuff there. I have some Legos, little Lego spaceship I built. I have a Tron Legacy Korra figure from Disney Infinity. Because she's awesome. What else do I have? Little mecha I've been building for a tabletop war game that I play. So those are there. There's about 8 of them and plastic sprues of pieces and some super glue. Dice, lots of dice. More Legos behind me on my bookshelves. Couple Link Zelda things. A portal turret, stuffed portal turret, and a companion cube.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that gives a wide range of, things and toys.
But you're not someone who buys the $100 statue for the game that you like.
Oh, that's downstairs.
Oh, you are the
shelf.
person.
I don't have a shelf for it up here. So I have bought collector's editions of games. I have the Commander Shepard, nice statue of Commander Shepard.
Male or female?
Male, because they didn't make a female version. I got that at Child's Play auction years ago. It was part of my big set. Came with this very, very nice resin statue of Commander Shepard. Mm-hmm. It was never bundled with the game. It was just a separate thing.
They never made a female one?
Not back in... This is for Mass Effect 1.
Oh, got it.
They didn't market at all for a female Shepard back then.
Right.
And there is female Shepard figures now.
Right.
I definitely wouldn't mind one. I have Ezio, 2 Ezio statues that came with... I got the Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood collector's editions, and they came with statues. I mean, downstairs, I have a Big Daddy and a little sister figure. I have a bunch of stuff for video games downstairs. In my other desk that I used when it was more convenient for that to be a place to work.
Right.
Eventually, I'll get a shelf over my desk up here that I can put all this stuff on. So yeah, I mean, I have toys, lots of them, lots of little things and knickknacks. Transformers, there's some Transformers down there. Yeah, I'm a giant child. What can I say? I buy toys. I go through the toy aisle at Target sometimes looking for the things that I might want.
Right, that's good. Or things you might want to buy your kids to then keep for yourself. Possibly. I won't do that. If I buy something for me, I'll just tell them it's mine. Even if they want. They're like, I want to play. No, this is mine. It's mine. I think that if there was... I don't really buy Legos. I know that you and another one of our friends buys and puts together different sets or whatever. But if there was a Game of Thrones Legos, I would buy that in a second and put that everything.
Lego's not going to do that.
No, because of the theme of Game of Thrones? Probably not.
Yeah,
but if they ever did, I would buy that in a second. For me, most of my toys, I don't really have a lot of toys, but I have about 50 amiibo. So that's quite a bit. My wife keeps asking me, are you still buying amiibo? Yeah, I've slowed down, but if
But I'm pretty sure you're gonna be having a Wind Waker, Link, and Zelda on your desk.
I went on to Amazon to pre-order, and they were sold out. I was so
I would
mad.
expect them to be sold out on Amazon pretty quickly. What's been your luck with Nintendo stuff on Amazon?
Pretty good. I've been able to get most of the stuff because I was on it instantly. This one I didn't really know when it was going to be up for pre-order, and I wasn't paying attention. But I found that even when the amiibos were sold out on Amazon, you can get them in the store pretty easily.
Yeah.
They've upped
Nintendo and Amazon don't play nice with
They
each
don't
other,
get along
really.
very well. Yeah. Right. I know the history behind that. But I want them. They look so awesome.
So do I.
And they're going to do something in Breath of the Wild, so I want that too. But currently on my shelf, I've got a little Toad amiibo. I have Shulk amiibo. I have a Yarn Yoshi, and I have Link. But I have the other ones in a box under my desk, and I rotate them once a week. I bring out new ones. Because I'm such a big amiibo fan, my friend made a amiibo for me out of clay. Nice. It is like a 70-year-old Mario with a little cardboard sign that says, "We'll stomp Koopas for coins." And then next to him, I have a Funko Pop Tyrion Lannister.
Nice.
And that's my desk. So I like to rotate. I like to have different stuff out, so I rotate. And they're obviously they're let's see, the Link here is sitting on top of a baseball, a signed baseball from a San Francisco Giant, and then on my lamp I have the Witcher medallion.
Nice.
Necklace. So that's all the toys that I got here. Not a ton of expensive stuff, but I'm really like the Nintendo amiibo because those characters are, characters we all grew up with.
Yeah. I've been tempted with me. I'm going to try very hard to find that Wind Waker pack. The other ones are okay, but that's the pack that I really want.
Yeah, me too. I think we'll be able to find it when it comes out. Nintendo wants us to buy them, so they'll have them.
Yeah, I figure I can hit up Target. There's like 10 GameStops within Seattle, so
yeah, you'll find them. I mean, the stuff that was like when the Splatoon characters came out, the 3-pack was like really rare, and then you can get them anywhere now. They're everywhere. So
yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Toys. I have
toys. Video games, toys. It's all good. So that's our show for this week. That was episode 51 of Prof and Dev Play Games. We will be back next week to talk about the NX, because my prediction is we're going to find out this week, and I hope I'm right.
Really?
I just throwing it out there.
Is this just a bold prediction?
Shot in the dark, yep.
Okay.
Bold prediction.
Okay.
Yep. We'll see if it comes true. Any bold predictions from you for this next week?
You will not hear about the NX.
Okay, there we go. We'll see
which one is right.
Yeah. Well, at least next week we'll know one of us is right about something. So until next week, this has been Prof and Dev Play Games. If you want to talk to Anthony, he's at SummerSpeak, and I am at Prof Plays Games. And we will see you next week.
All right. Good night, everyone.